Oh, there we go. Awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for joining the author's table. It's great to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely. I love the shirt and definitely the book.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. Appreciate
that's
that.
awesome. That's great. All right, James. Now, what inspired you to become an author?
Well, I guess it goes back to when I was younger. I really was a big H.L. Mencken fan, and in high school, I read everything I could of his because I wanted to be a columnist and I wanted to give my opinion about things and
That's right.
investigate things. And things kind of changed after I graduated with a journalism degree. I realized I was very shy and I didn't think that I was up to being a reporter. So I went into editing and copy editing.
Okay.
So it wasn't until probably around 2003 that I really got back into writing.
So there's a lot to it, though, isn't there? Especially working with the paper. You
Oh,
know,
for sure. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot.
the research and then doing the copy and editing. That I mean, that's a lot of takes a lot of skill
I
on
feel
that
like
too.
Yeah, I feel like with the book, a lot of it was based on my editing skills more than my writing skills because as a copy editor, one thing that I prided myself on was catching errors and things like that that other people missed.
That's
So
right.
I dig and I dig and I dig till I found the answer. I remember one story I was working on at a healthcare publication, and the reporter had submitted this great story, and I was reading it at the 11th hour, and there was something that was really bothering me about it. And the reporter, I think, was on vacation, so I called him on vacation, and I don't think he was too happy with me. And I said, "Are you sure about this?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah, it's right." And I said, "Okay." And then it just kept thinking about it. I'm like, "There's no way this can be right." So I started digging and digging and digging until I finally found the source that he used, and I saw that he missed a part of the statement that made it completely different. And so I went to the managing editor and I said, "This is what it's supposed to be," and we changed it without the reporter knowing because he was on vacation. I think I messaged him about it, and that story wound up winning a huge prize. I think he won like a $10,000
Oh my
prize for that article.
it's like, well, where's my portion, right?
He said he would buy me a drink, but I'm still waiting.
It better be like a $10,000 drink, right? Now, when you had the idea, James, that you wanted to write a book on one of the most popular characters of all time, what was your approach in gathering the correct information and all the material needed to put this book together and be correct?
Well, I mean, it's a trade off, right? So if I would have started the book when I first thought about it around 1999, there would have been more firsthand sources available, but I would not have had access to the kind of resources that I have
Exactly.
now.
Yes.
The archives that are out there, like, I'm so thankful for people who take the time to scan old magazines and old newspapers. It's
Yes.
a tedious job, but it makes my life so much easier because I can search through newspapers going back to the 20s, 30s, 40s
Absolutely.
easily. I can look through old magazines. Otherwise, I mean, how would you be able to do it? You'd have to go to probably dozens and dozens of libraries to get all the material and go through microfiche.
Oh yeah.
It would have taken, I mean, I spent 5 years researching this book. I could easily see it being 20 plus years of research if I didn't have that at my fingertips. And
Absolutely.
then
Yes.
going through, you can even get like Library of Congress, you can go through old phone books, which I did to try and
Oh,
find
awesome.
yeah, like Fred Schweitzer's phone number. I found that in there in a 1935 or 36 white pages. It's things like that. And then just tracking down sources too.
That's
I
right.
was able to track down people going back to even the 1930s who knew him because of the technology that's out there and the
Absolutely.
information. It's
Yes.
actually kind of scary that you can get that
I
information,
know.
but you
You,
can.
especially too, like historians. The valuable information that they have too. For example, like Paul Gorecki is an awesome resource. I mean, he's done everything from the Stooges, Keaton, which I like your hat,
Thanks
That's
for
right.
noticing.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And so I mean, those resources are out there, and thank goodness they are. Like you said, it's not just people scanning the material and that, but thank goodness that those kind of people are there because otherwise they'd be lost.
Yeah, and I made some great contacts who put me in touch with some great people.
That's great.
Yeah, like I talked to Sydney the Worm Kibrick, who's the last remaining main member of the Our Gang series. He's, I believe, 95 now and going strong. He did not have a great opinion about alfalfa, but it's really good to talk to people like that who knew
Absolutely.
him back
The biggest thing too is yeah, you took advantage of those resources, and thank goodness that you're able to, and especially for like family members or people that are still alive. I mean, I tell other authors if you're writing a book on people like that, reach out to them because they love to hear from you. You know.
then. Yeah, in Alfalfa's case, it wasn't always
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that with his family.
That's right. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of history there. A lot of they're very cautious with people investigating their family just because of the circumstances. The person who was a really big proponent of getting his story out there was his niece, Judy Ann Schweitzer. Unfortunately, she passed away a few
Mm.
years before I started this project. But luckily, again, thanks to the archives, I was
Hmm.
able to find a website from about 20 plus years ago where she gave all these extensive interviews on it. And then there's also Facebook groups like
Yes.
the Echo in the Valley where they have all this great stuff from what she used to write back in the day. So it was almost like having an interview with her, even though I didn't actually get to
Right.
meet her.
Excellent. Excellent. So now let's talk about your book called Alfalfa, The Rascal You Knew, The Character You Never Knew. So who was Alfalfa?
Carl Schweitzer, it's Schweitzer, not Switzer, as
Yes.
a lot of people say, um, was born and raised in Paris, Illinois,
Hmm.
which is west of Indianapolis, but south of Chicago. It's actually probably closer, much closer to Indianapolis than Chicago. It's a really small town. I got to visit it once, and I had a really big adventure there, which I talk about in the book. So basically, I went there and I had basically no cell signal. So I was trying to find things kind of with my notes and going around. And I did find a few things, and it kind of felt like Elfie was playing a trick on me the whole time. Because I went to the parking lot, which is actually the address of where he was born. So there was some kind of hospital or something there at the time that doesn't exist anymore, and it's across from a church. So I went to take a look at it, and then I was taking some pictures, and then I crossed the street, and then I'm taking more pictures, and then I see this big dog out of the corner of my eye coming toward me,
Oh.
and I'm like, wait a minute, there's no fence on this. Now,
Oh.
there could have been an electric fence, I have no idea. But the dog's charging at me, and then all of a sudden the owner comes out and says, whatever the dog's name is, come here. And the dog turned around, and I said, I better start moving on. So then I get back into my car and I make a left turn out of the parking lot, not realizing that it was a three-way street going one way because I'd never encountered one of
Oh
those
my
before.
gosh.
And there's people in the parking lot of the church going, "Stop!" And I'm like, "What did I do?"
It's like you're just living the old comedies, right?
Comedy of terrors, maybe.
That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. Now, what was your feelings, James? Like seeing your book in print for the first time, and actually even holding it for the first time.
I'll never forget. I was so happy to. I was waiting and waiting and for my first copy to come,
Yeah.
always checking the mail. And a friend of ours actually, they got it before I did. So we were out to dinner with them, I believe, that night. And then afterwards, because they had their tracking number, they said, "Oh, it's at our house." So I was like, "Can I come see it?" So I went to their house and I got to hold their book and I took a picture in their kitchen and I signed it for them. And that was
Nice.
the first copy I signed and the first book I held. And I mean, it was a dream come true. I've always wanted to be an author and I did it.
Fantastic. Good for you. Now, like the research. Now, for example, like using the image, what was your approach, and how did you actually get the right to, put Carl on the cover?
I found I think it was in Washington. It was, I believe, yeah, I think it was in Washington. So they had the photo, and I messaged them and asked about the rights, and
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a fee, and I paid the fee, and then
Yeah,
there we are. I
yeah,
mean,
that's
I
fantastic.
thought it was the perfect image, though.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty close to the concept I came up with originally for the design because I thought the photo worked perfectly. Like I
mm-hmm.
could have used a kind of goofy photo of Alfalfa, which is what you're kind
Yeah,
of accustomed to.
right.
But this is really more about him as a person and as a character, and that was the dynamic that I talk a lot about in the book. Like
Very nice.
there's this silly guy, but he was going through a lot of hard times.
Yeah, it is, as you may know too. A lot of the the children that was in the comedies, they've had their own tragedies, haven't they?
Oh, the Argan curse has been talked about for generations.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's not all rosy. I mean, when you think about that time period, I mean, just the dynamic of you have the Great Depression, what's going on in Europe in the late 30s, and
Absolutely.
obviously during World War II. Um, there was a lot going on. I mean, you think about Alfalfa, Carl Schweitzer's family, they were paying $4 a month rent in 1930.
Mm,
Now, obviously, you translate to 2025, that's more than $4, but it's
right.
still nothing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they were pretty poor. Fred had a wooden leg, depending on what story you believe. He either accidentally shot his leg and they had to amputate it, or it was some kind of accident where they had to amputate it. But I mean, he was a handyman. I mean, he was very talented with his hands in terms of like crafting things, but it was a hard time for a family of five.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you're talking like in the those very very early days, and it was very hard to make ends meet for for everybody.
Yeah,
And for those for the children, because I remember with when Hal Roach was going through that process and all the children that wanted to be in the Our Gang series, and
sure.
thank goodness for him. He provided some really nice things, for them. It wasn't easy, of course, but it
Yeah.
changed their lives.
Hal Roach was a great storyteller, and
Absolutely.
over the years, I mean, things developed in his mind, and he would kind of craft them to the narrative he wanted, like
Yeah,
how the Our Gang series started.
that's
Like
right.
his story was he was at his desk, and maybe he was interviewing somebody for a role, and then he turned around, and there was a window behind him, and he saw these kids arguing over sticks, and he was captivated for 10, 15 minutes, and said, "Hey,
That's
why don't
right.
we do a series about kids?" But when you dig into it and you look back, there's probably a lot more to it than that.
Oh yes,
And
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
it's, and even with Alfalfa, like the story is that he and his brother Harold went to the Our Gang Cafe. They started singing and playing, and everybody was mesmerized. And then Hal Roach signed them up. But when you look back, like when you dig, like I did, you find out that he actually appeared on the National Barn Dance, which was a WLS, a radio show in the 1930s and 40s, and they had these home talent shows, and they came to Paris, Illinois, and lo and behold, Harold and Carl were very talented musicians and singers, and they,
Absolutely.
yeah, and everybody's like, "You got to get to Hollywood, you got to get to Hollywood,"
That's right.
but it wasn't easy for a family that didn't have a lot of money,
That's
so
right.
likely along the way they probably stopped and um, did some shows to get some coins so that they could continue their journey.
Well, you look back too during the vaudeville days of a lot of these comedians. It just wasn't them being funny in front of the camera. It was just they had other talents as well too. You know,
Oh, for sure.
and they all had to find ways to make money too, and that's thank goodness again for the archives and for what we can see today. You know,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
wonderful.
like I said, if I would have started this book 25 years ago when I first thought about it,
That's
I would
right.
have gotten better firsthand perspective, but I wouldn't have gotten the background that I got. And
Exactly.
even when you talk to people, memories change over the years. So you have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt. And that goes back to that digging is like, okay, they said this, but did this really happen? And
Right.
then you try and find corroborating evidence that it did happen or didn't happen.
That's right. Now, James, did when you were first putting your book together, or even during the process, did you ever think about being a self-published author, or did you always want to find a publisher to do it for you?
I always wanted to find a publisher, so
Okay.
I was in no rush though. So I kind of was doing things on my time. I
Okay.
knew if I reached out to a few agents, but I didn't pursue it that hard because I knew the second that I did, if I did get an agent, they'd push me to get the book done quicker. Or if I
Yes.
found a publisher, they'd push me to get the book done quicker. And I wanted to take my time to make sure I did it right the first
Good
time.
for you. That's right. Yeah.
So,
Now,
but when I did find Bear Manor Media, I reached out to Ben over there, Ben Omart, and bless his heart, he was interested right away, and it came together fairly quickly. But then I knew at that point, like I had a deadline. I had to get this thing done.
yes. Now, do you feel that you were pressed for time at all, or are you
No, I
still?
think it's good for me sometimes to have a deadline. I prefer to take my own pace, but
Yeah.
sometimes if you have a deadline, it just kind of pushes you to say, all right, what's the stuff you absolutely need to get, and what's the stuff that
Yes.
you'd like to get, and what
Right.
stuff can you kind of let go. And I think I got so much in this book that I'm sure there's stuff out there. Like, I'd love to get a copy of the police report, which I don't know if it'll ever surface, but I think that would be pretty telling. That's the biggest thing that I wish I could have gotten.
Yeah. Yeah. Now your book comes in three formats. Is that correct, James?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
Now
correct.
that's the paperback, digital.
The hardcover and
Okay.
digital.
Now, are you thinking about going to audio at all?
That's up to the publisher. He hasn't talked to me about it, so
Okay.
it's his decision
Maybe get
if he
somebody that
decides.
has like Alfalfa's voice.
Yeah, I just for giggles, I kind of tried to do just the preface myself and see how that went,
Yeah.
and just it's a lot harder than it seems to just
Absolutely.
read your own text without making mistakes. And if you do make mistakes, you either have to start over from the beginning or you have to do clever editing, and it's a lot of work. So
Oh yes,
I'm like,
absolutely.
they can decide if they want to do it or not.
Right. Now, what has been your most satisfying compliment from a reader or even another author regarding your new book?
Oh, goodness. I think it's probably I would say from the people who really support Alfalfa, like
Mm-hmm.
John Dambra, who does the Echo in the Valley group on Facebook. I mean, just his support. Zach Schweitzer, who's a relative. They've just been very supportive of what I've done. And
Nice.
going into this, I knew it was going to be hard to kind of win those people over because, as I mentioned, like they've been burned before. There's been several people, I should say,
Yes.
who've tried to write books about alfalfa, including a year and a half into my research. I found out there was somebody who'd started about 5 years before I did. And at that point, my jaw dropped, and I'm like, this is over. It's not going to happen. But I figured, you know what? I'm going to press on and see what happens. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that individual passed away before his book ever was published. And this is the first biography of Carl Alfalfa Schweitzer.
There's nothing like, especially a family member that approves what you did. No one can take that away because I think once that is established, or even the organization that represents them, let's say, once you get their approval that everything is good, then it makes you feel a lot better that you're not going against something that they represent.
Right. I mean, I could have told this story, I could have made it very sensational. It's been
Yeah.
sensational for 65 years now. My job was, in my opinion, as a journalist, was to tell the story as accurately as possible.
Yes.
Like, I could have focused more on the outcome at the end there,
Yes.
which I do. I talk about it
Yes.
in depth, but I'm not promoting it that way because the thing that I really, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't go into this trying to figure out what exactly happened that night.
Right.
But what I learned along the way is that how he lived was so much more important than how he died.
Right.
I mean, you're talking a 7-year-old kid from a rural town who made it in Hollywood as an A-list movie star in the 1930s.
That's right.
That alone is the story,
That's right.
and then
Absolutely.
why he went from where he was to how things ended up in the 50s. That's the other part of the story, and that's why I open with kind of 1940 because it's kind of like the pivotal year in his life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, do you see yourself writing another biography in the future?
I'd love to if I found the right story.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. To me, like doing a biography about somebody who there's tons of biographies about doesn't interest me as much.
Yes.
I'd want to find somebody who hasn't been publicized as much or their story hasn't been told as well for whatever reason. So far, I haven't found that story. And if this is the only book I ever write, I'm okay with that
Yeah.
because this is what I wanted to accomplish. This is something that I've thought about for years and years and years.
Good for you.
And if a story finds its way to me and I feel like I'm up for the task, I definitely wouldn't take something on as hard as this one.
No, I mean, obviously, you can tell the passion you have and what it meant to you to get the story correct. And it comes across that way. And I think, the story that you have in your book though is when one read, you can see it and feel it. You're not just throwing something together to make a story. You
I
know,
appreciate that. That's what I was hoping to do. And
yeah,
if you look carefully, there are breadcrumbs throughout the book, kind of giving you hints on what might have happened. Because I can't say things
right.
definitively unless I know definitively things happened. But I mean, I can make educated guesses based on 5 years of research on what
Yes.
happened.
So that all that training and stuff paid off, didn't it?
Thank you, University of Missouri.
That's right. now, okay, James. Now, what advice can you provide to someone that wants to write a biography and that really has no idea where to start, or what especially a newcomer that wants to be an author?
Don't do it. It's
Don't
too
do
hard.
it.
No, just um, it is very. It's not an easy task to do
Hmm.
a biography, or I should say, a well researched biography.
Yes.
But I would say, like, some people can work with outlines. It's not my writing style. Like, I need the story to develop in my mind, and that's kind of why it was hard for me to kind of figure out how I wanted to tell the story because I'm used to shorter form writing, like 5,000 words or less, and I can usually look at a story with 5,000 words and kind of figure out. I look at it as kind of like more puzzle pieces, putting puzzle
Hmm.
pieces together when I'm writing, like how does this fit in? How does this fit in? When you're writing a 130, I think it was originally 170,000 and it wound up 130,000 words. Um, it's not as easy to do that.
Right.
So
Right.
if you can do an outline, I would say do that. It's just not for me, but a lot of people kind of fall back on that. Do your research first before you start writing. Try and figure out what questions haven't been answered, why they haven't been answered,
Yeah.
where you could possibly find that information, um, and keep digging. Look for phone numbers of people who knew the person
That's
years and
right.
years ago, unless the person's from like the 17th or 18th
Yeah.
century, of course. But
That would be a story by itself, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Time travel. I wish I could do some time travel. It would make it a lot
Oh, wouldn't that
easier.
be something? Yeah. Now, also, and I believe that too. Um, especially when it comes to copyright law. Make sure you get that information, approved, and that you are, you have the rights to do so. Just don't go out there and just do it.
Exactly.
Because especially like in your case too, and mine, and so many of others, of course, that you have to follow the protocol. You have to do the right thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I reached out to every source before I went to press to just check quotes,
Yes. Yes.
just to make sure everything was right. And I don't think I had, maybe one person had a small change they wanted, and I agreed with it, so I did it. But record your interviews, tell people that you're recording their interviews.
Right.
That's an important thing. You have to do that.
Yes.
And then once you do that, you have go through, like, it's easier now,
Yeah.
even now, than it would have been even when I was doing the book because of AI with the transcriptions. But I sat there and transcribed pretty much every interview on my own, which took hours and hours alone. But talk to people, look through magazines, look through books. Like, I read probably 20 plus books for this book. I was able to track down everything except two known appearances that he was in. And some of these movies are just impossible to find. I had to buy bootleg copies because whatever, uh, uh, like sometimes
Yes.
it's really hard to find them for whatever reason, and
Absolutely. Yes.
I had to track it down.
Now, James, do you have a website for people to learn more about you and your book?
I do, but it's kind of
You're in the
it's not
process.
really well done.
Okay. Okay.
I would say look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn. I also am on X daily because I do a litter challenge where I pick up at least one piece of
Excuse me.
litter a day and then post a photo of it. It's just something that I'm trying to get people interested in doing to help clean up the world a little bit.
Nice. Now, when is your next event, James?
My next event is in mid-September. The Laurel and Hardy fan club has a local chapter, the Sons of the Desert, called the Bacon Grabbers. So I'll be speaking at that in mid-September. I'm looking forward to that. And
Excellent.
then they're going to show some Little Rascal film,
Oh,
our game
fantastic.
film.
Awesome. Now, don't forget though, you're going to be on WGN Radio with Rick Hogan.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night. I'm really excited
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
that's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time.
I'm really looking forward to that. That's something I wanted to do for a while, and I made a very good connection a couple weeks ago, and he put me in touch with him.
Fantastic.
So we'll see what happens with it,
That's
but I'm
oh, you'll
really
have fun.
excited.
You'll have a good time though. Now, okay, James, you ready for some trivia?
Uh-oh.
Here we
I'll
go.
try.
Okay, here we go. Okay, name the film that showed the image of Carl Schweitzer in this 1954 Christmas classic.
Would that be White Christmas?
That is correct. October 14th, 1954, the freckle-faced Haynes, the dog-faced boy.
That was so mean.
Okay, now, in what year did Carl Schweitzer join the Our Gang comedies?
1935.
That's correct. He played Alfalfa. That's very good. Okay,
Not in the first one, he didn't.
no, that's correct. The name of the Our Gang comedies theme song is called Good Old Days, true or false?
True.
Very good. Name the first Our Gang film to start playing a theme song in its comedies. Teacher's Pet, Spook Spoofing, Readin' and Writin'.
I think it was Reading and Writing.
Teacher's Pet.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. In the early 1929, the Our Gang shorts became talkies, starting with what comedy short? Playing Hooky, A Tough Winter, Small Talk.
Small talk.
Great job. Very good. Okay, now MGM produced the first Our Gang short called The Little Ranger in what year? 1935, 1940, 1938.
1938.
Excellent. Good job. All right. Okay. Now, what was the final Hal Roach produced short in the Our Gang series called Men in Fright, Practical Jokers, Hide and Shriek?
It's one of my favorites, Hide and Shriek.
Awesome. Great job. Okay, the last one. You're doing great, James.
Ooh, put me on the spot here.
Okay. In the Our Gang Follies of 1938, what was Alfalfa's opera song called?
I can't sing it very well, but it would be The Barber of Seville.
That is
And
correct.
that's a pivotal moment in his life,
That
which
is
I talk
correct.
about in the book.
That's right. Fantastic. Great job, James. You passed.
Woohoo! I only missed one.
That is fantastic, James. This was fantastic, and I'm so pleased that you and for yourself too that you accomplished such a really a big achievement that you brought to light for so many people. Because they just remember him as, Alfalfa, of course, in the series, but you actually brought, everything from when he was starting to, when he passed. But I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. And I actually forgot to do something. Usually, before I do an interview,
Uh-huh.
I always make sure to do the
Oh.
high sign to make sure everything's okay.
But okay, what other character did that though? Comedian.
Buster Keaton.
There you go. Great job. Yes, that's right. Awesome. Well, James, and I also see the Groucho Marx and the W.C. Fields in the background too, and I love that.
Yeah, I'm a big classic comedy fan.
Yes, I thank you so very much, James, for being on the author's table. It was fantastic to hear about you and your book, and and I know you're going to do very well producing it, pushing it out there, and uh, and I think it's going to be a success.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Brad.
Oh, of course, and please keep me in the loop of anything else that you're working on because I think it's going to be fantastic. Especially if you're going to do any type of promoting or events, just let me know. And I can pass that along too.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I should mention that I might be working on a screenplay with a co-author.
Really? It can.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Okay. You got the interest now. Now, is it going to be a comedy?
No.
It's going to be serious. Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. Good for you. And have fun tomorrow on the radio, and make that book shine. I mean, I think you're going to do well, and I think it's a great way to get your book out there, especially on the radio. And if you ever get to TV, I mean, sky's the limit.
I don't know if I have a face for TV, but we'll see.
Hey, I mean, with all the hard work and the research you did on this, I mean, you should be behind it 110%. So whatever it takes you, take advantage of it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Brad. I
you're very
appreciate the
welcome.
kind words.
Absolutely, and it was a great pleasure, and I wish you the very best. And just please keep me in the loop, okay?
Will do.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks a lot, James. Okay. Bye bye.